Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans, and I'm your transformation coach, health strategist, and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your health, fitness, mindset, and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. I've got a special guest with me today from Melbourne, Luis Garotti. Luis runs a creative studio where he's producing all kinds of signage and car wrapping and all that sort of stuff, and more I'm sure that he will tell us about. Very creative space, very clever, successful person. So, Lewis, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
So tell us a little bit about your business, because you've got your third generation in, well, not necessarily in this business, but like doing the same creative space. So tell us a little bit about what you do, why you're continuing to follow the family tradition here.
Yeah, so my family started in the printing industry when my grandfather started a screen printing business many decades ago. And that then was passed down to my uncle, and it was run as a family business. And I've sort of always been around that print space and the creative industry of designing and printing and all that sort of thing. So I guess it just runs in my blood to then carry that on. I didn't directly go into the family business. I sort of took my own career path and did a diploma in graphic design. And from there, I guess I just fell into printing. Just by nature of what the family does. And then my career then followed into signage and car wrapping and all these amazing large scale things that we do in the event space and commercial signage space.
Yeah, right. So give us maybe give us a couple of examples of the type of work, so people get an understanding. So look, I understanding what car wrapping is. I'm surprised. I've had a few clients that have bought a different colored vehicle and just had it wrapped, not with branding or anything on it, just wrapped as a different color. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a look. It is a fairly new industry. It's the color change car wrapping has only been around for maybe 15 years, 20 years max. And it is a growing industry. There's a number of suppliers now where you can go and get your car color change.
Is that because it's cheaper than having it resprayed? Or
look, it is. Yeah, a respray is going to depend on the level of respray that you're getting. So if you're getting all the parts removed and you're getting all the door jams and stuff done, you're going to be upwards of 25, 30 grand to respray your car.
Oh, really? Jeez.
Look, it depends on the amount of work that's required.
Yeah.
Some guys might do it for like 5.5, 6 grand, but it's closed door, pretty much like basic as you can get. Whereas a vinyl wrap will cost you, between, depending on color and how, sometimes you do door jams and stuff. So depending on if you're doing that as well. A vinyl wrap will cost you between sort of 6 and 8 grand. Right. And then if you change your mind later on, or you go and sell the car and you want it back to the original color, you just peel it off.
Yeah.
So it is a good alternative to paint. And now with ceramic coating, it's further extending the longevity of vinyl. So it is starting to compete with paint.
Yeah.
In terms of the longevity of it. So that's why it's such a growing industry. And it actually started out of the signage industry, and then detailers got hold of it, and now it's sort of part of detailing industry as well.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an interesting one, how it sort of mixes with the two industries.
How far away, just because obviously like materials change, I guess that's from both sides of the material, what's used for the adhesive and what's on top, and UV protection, all that, and colors and all that sort of stuff. How far away do you think we are from, you drive your car into a booth or something and it's just directly printed onto the car?
Yeah, look, I don't think we're actually that far away, because I'm pretty sure I saw something on social media that was someone testing that
Doing that,
concept. Yeah, I guess the only thing with that would be, like, as a commercial signage point of view, obviously people get that to advertise their businesses on their vehicles, and then when that vehicle is then sold, it's removed. So in terms of printing on the actual car and removal later on, I'm not sure how that would work, but
it comes down to what it is and
yeah,
how quick and easy that is to remove. And
yeah, that's right.
yeah, interesting. So tell us a little bit about the creative process that you go through, because obviously you're creating. Somebody might come to you and obviously they've already said, look, this is what I've got, these are my graphics, can you print it, and so forth. But I guess you also have people that come and say, look, I'm starting this business and I want to, have this as a sign in the building and that kind of stuff. Just tell us what's your creative process? Because I'm very left brain. If you're creative, you're right brain. I'm very left brain. So I'm very like, it must be like step 1, step 2, step 3. So how do you go through it?
Yeah. So we do everything from logo design and branding to designing what's going on the vehicles, designing what's going on the signage, to then producing and installing it. So everything's done in-house. And if we get, say, a brand new business who wants to open up a shop front, excuse me, or have something on their vehicle and they don't even have any branding or anything at all, we'll first start with the branding. So we'll start with the logo and go through that. That is a process in itself. We do research based on what the business is, what the business stands for, values and stuff. We go in depth with the customer about what the business is. And then a logo is based around the information that the customer gives us. And it goes through changes, revisions, etc., until we get to a final concept that they like. Then that concept is then transferred to a medium such as signage or a vehicle, and then we'll base the design around that branding. So, say we've incorporated some sort of imagery or pattern in that logo or branding, that will then be transferred onto the signage in the vehicle, and etc.
Is as somebody's telling you, about their business and that kind of stuff, is it like you see it in the movies sometimes? Do you like immediately have, oh yeah, I can see it's this color, and I can say, oh, we can incorporate this? Because obviously you think about other things that you've done and stuff. Is that how it comes together?
Look, sometimes it takes a bit of work. It is sometimes where you're like, oh yeah, I've got a great idea for that concept or that business. And then sometimes the customer doesn't even like it. So it's yeah. And then look, a lot of the time it's researching what's in trend, because we need to be keeping up with the times. We can't be designing, brands and logos that are sort of from 10 or 15 years ago. We need to be keeping to what's in 2023, 2024, those sorts of styles, which is very, pretty simple, basic. There's a lot of patterns going around now at the moment, which are sort of like hexagonal patterns type thing. And yeah, we'll build, research what is current, and then apply that to that business. But yeah, generally there's a lot of research that has to go into it. It's pretty rare where we're like, yeah, that's the one. That's it.
Yes. What? So you've been in business since 2016? Is that?
Yeah. So my business was started as just a side hustle while I was working at another company, and it was purely just to make some extra cash on the side. And then actually during COVID, when work started to we pretty much went down to 3 days. It gave me more time to work on my own stuff and fill the extra days. And it just got to the stage where I couldn't keep up with both jobs, and it was just I pretty much just said to myself, if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. So I gave it a go, and here we are.
Yeah, nice. What would you say has been the greatest challenge for you since 2016? I suppose that obviously there's COVID and stuff, but outside of COVID, what would you say has been your biggest business challenge?
And this isn't obviously applied to many businesses, but COVID actually helped me because it actually helped me grow my business. It gave me an opportunity to work on my business a lot more than just on the side, because I had pretty much 4 days to work on my business.
Yes.
Whereas before I sort of only had after hours and weekends. And that actual period of time though, where I did have a full-time job and it was just a side hustle, that was pretty challenging, because I'd be at my full-time job and I'd be prepping and installing signs until 12 a.m. and then have to get up at 6 a.m. to go to my job. And then I'd be working Saturday and Sunday getting stuff done. And I pretty much for like 6 months, I hardly saw my family. So that was pretty challenging. And aside from that, actually starting the business and putting my first staff member on, and then putting more staff on, that's quite challenging as well.
What would you say has been your greatest failure in business and what you've learned from it?
So not in this business. I had another business in 2012, 13. And I was only 21. And I started a business as a sole trader, but then I was working with another sole trader and we had like an umbrella brand. And I just went too big, too quick type thing. I got machinery, leased out a massive factory, and it just got out of hand. And that taught me a lot of lessons in terms of what not to do the next time around.
Like what? Give us a couple of
So in terms of, and look, this is not to say that partnerships can't work, because there's plenty of partnerships that work. But for me, I have a certain way of doing things, and I find it hard to then, if something's not being done correctly, to then work with someone else, especially building a business.
Was it a partnership with a friend?
Essentially, yeah.
Doesn't work.
No, well, no. It works in pretty rare cases where for a partnership to work, you need to be doing complete opposite things. So one to be working in the back end, and one to be, say, like the face and doing sales.
Someone that's not you.
That's right. That's the only way it works.
You in the business.
Exactly right. And the issue that we had is we were essentially the same person.
Yeah.
We're very much alike. That's why we were friends. And we, I guess, clashed when it came to business stuff. And yeah, without going in it too personal, he was a little bit older than me. He was sort of more towards his 40s. And I expected, I guess, a little bit more than what I got. And it didn't work. And I just ended up getting a full-time job, to be honest.
I think if we just pause there for a second, anyone listening that is maybe either in business having some same challenges or wanting to go into business, oh yeah, I've got a good mate and yeah, we're going to go into business because we've been really good mates and whatever. It'll destroy the friendship. And the things that you hit on there, you have to be completely different people, because if you're both that similar, you're going to be wanting to do the same thing.
That's right.
And you need somebody that's got different strengths. So I don't know, let's just say that you're you like really creative and all that kind of stuff. I'm very left brain. So yeah, you want someone left brain in your business that can take care of the numbers and all that kind of stuff. And the other point you said was about, well, essentially driving to work ethic. And at some point, you're going to be completely peeved off where, why am I working so many hours in the business and somebody else is not working as many? We're doing 50-50, but I'm working an extra 15 hours a week in the business compared to them. It's so, so difficult. And I see very few partnerships work out. At least this way, if you're going to make it, it's all on you. If you fail, it's all on you.
And yeah, that's right. And that's essentially what I learned is if I'm going to do this, I do it by myself. I get the final say. And if I stuff up, it's on me. And I'll wear that. I'll be happy to call my failures and learn from it. But
just don't do it again.
Well, that's it. And if you don't have control of it, if you're putting it in someone else's hands, then their failures become your failures as well. And they're harder to learn from because you haven't actually done it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're failing, you can examine internally and say, where did I stuff up? Like what happened here? You need to analyze it and say, well, okay, what can I do to make that not happen again? What are the steps I need to go through so that, you know, these failures aren't a repetitive failure?
Yes. So let's have it's a nice segue into the next question in terms of relationships. How important are the relationships that you have? And I mean, we can talk about intimate relationships, but I'm talking about business relationships and that kind of stuff. How important are they to you?
Yeah, no, very, very important. So 90% of our work is word of mouth. I hardly advertise. I do a little bit of social media. And that's purely just to showcase our work. Because
I see so many TikTok videos of people doing the spraying and they've got the stuff on and they've got the little thing and they're doing all that. And I'm like, man, how long do I have to? And they've got it on fast. And I'm like, how long do I have to watch this thing to see a result here? Just give me the before, a little bit of that, and show me the after, because I'm not watching.
Yeah, that's right. And look, we only do it because our work is very visual. We need a portfolio. We need to be able to show what we do. And that's purely the only reason why I do social media. In terms of like the business social media, majority of our work is word of mouth. And that's how it's always been. And that's how I will continue to grow the business as much as I can. Obviously, you know, getting into other advertising is in the plans as well. But if you're doing such a good job in your industry, you know, other people will refer you, and that's how word spreads about your company. Now, people may argue that that's not how you scale a business. Well, it's not, but that's how you grow a business that's reputable. By doing such a good job that whenever someone speaks, so for instance, me, whenever the conversation of signage comes up, I want to be in their mouth. I don't want another company to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
And the only way you do that is do such a good job that they'll have no choice but to refer you, and that they're excited to refer you. And that's always the way that I've done business since I opened. And it's gotten us to where we are now. So it's fail proof if you're doing it right.
I think when we're in business and being small business operators, we have to find ways to stand out from your competitors. And the way I think in this day and age that you can stand out tremendously from everybody else is just you provide those wow factors and under promise, over deliver. People are just blown away by the work you do. And a big way to do that, I think, is just the customer service. Like the follow-up, the ease that it is for people to deal with this and make inquiries and do simple things like that, through to the conversations that you have, how you present and all that kind of stuff as well. I've been into actually every single, say, signage creative place that I've been into that have done like either cars or signage and stuff. you're walking through a factory, it's a mess, like there's no showroom, where it's all professional and stuff. It's like you've got to walk through, you can smell the glue or the contact or whatever it is. You can hear the printer going. It's like, you got to do better than that.
Yeah.
And, and to
And
provide that really great experience for people.
that's right. And like, if you come into our workshop, look, sometimes, there may be a little bit of mess, but you walk in, the floor's clean, it's freshly painted, it's glossy, it's very clean. I try and keep it as neat as possible, because the work that we do needs to be very clean, especially when we're doing paint protection film.
You only got one chance to make a first impression.
That's right.
If you come in and, I don't know, let's just say that you're doing signage for vehicles and your vehicles are parked out the front like yours and they're filthy, or the sign, the signs are damaged or whatever, you're going to be thinking, so if their own vehicles are like that, what are they going to do to mine? It's one of my pet hates where I see, like I've got signage on my vehicle, and if I'm out somewhere and I see really dirty signage on people's vans and stuff, I just hate it. I think, well, if you can't even take good care of your van, what are you doing in someone's house?
Like
the inside the van's dirty, the outside is dirty. You say, oh, well, I'm too busy doing people's work. No, this is your brand. This is the first thing that people see. So it's got to be good. Clean inside, clean outside. But again, that's my left brain thinking of you've got to get these things spot on. Tell me, what are your views on coaching, being in business? Do you have a business coach?
Yeah, I do. So I've got a profit coach, which is actually Kevin.
Yeah.
So
Kevin is who introduced. So Kevin was a coach of mine like 10 years ago. So Kevin provided the introduction to Lewis. Yeah. So how long were you in business before you got a coach?
2 years before, like 2 years full time, before I got a coach.
Yeah.
And like Kevin will just help me to see either a different point of view or things that I've thought about but not put to action. He'll help me put them to action, because obviously when you're running a business, the number one thing you lack of is time. And he'll help me to work out where I can get that time and put that to action in the things that are going to help my business be successful.
I think one of the big things that we suffer from in small business is a procrastination.
Yeah.
And we get stuck in the transactional stuff, like getting the work done, as opposed to making the time to do the transformational. And like before we hit record here, I know we were talking about like international work and so forth, which is not what you're looking for, but there is no reason why you can't be the most successful person in your suburb, like in your local area, and achieve all your goals because you just stand out. I mean, I look at the work where I spend most of my time, and there are dozens in my area, but there's not one person that does it like I do. And that's how you stand out, and by providing those exceptional experiences and stuff. But I think the coaching, I had coaching from day one. I've had various coaches over my journey. I think if you're going into business, you don't have a coach, you're crazy, because you're going to get really emotional and passionate about ideas that can be really bad. And the coach comes in and says, I don't even know why you're doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, definitely.
So we get stuck on these ideas. We think, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. And your family gets around and says, yeah, what a great idea. But there's no money in it. It's rubbish. And you should stop doing it immediately. But until you've got the coach that's, way more successful and has got a lot more experience than you, just don't get to hear those types of things. Is that what you found?
Yeah. And Kevin's helped me to see, I guess we've mostly gone into the numbers side of things, and the way he made me look at the numbers was different to how I was looking at it, and made a lot more sense than what I was doing. And that's helped quite a bit so far already. It's only been a couple of months. And now we're sort of looking more into the marketing side of things, and I've sort of got my ideas, but then he's like, nah, well, you should try this and do it like this. And I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it gets you a different point of view than what is going on in your brain, especially when, running a business isn't the most, sorry, wrong choice of words. Running a business is very lonely, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's very isolating. Very.
And, unless you've got another family member who runs their own business and they know what it's like, which is very hard to get. Most sort of friends or family members that work for other people aren't going to know sort of what you're going through. It's a very, very lonely path.
Yes.
So to get the insights from someone else who's going down the same path is very valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Another great point. It is, I think to some extent, I've been in business 14 years now. If I knew what I knew now at the start, you'd be like, maybe I won't do this because it's so hard. However, on the other side of that, I realize how much I've grown through the process and through the pain and through the struggle and through trying to work it all out. And I used to think I worked hard before, but it wasn't until I started running my own business I thought, okay, this is what hard work is, or this is what hard work needs to be in order to make a success of it. There is no get rich quick schemes. It's all hard work, focus, great work ethic, and you just got to keep on building and building and building. Tell me a little bit, well, I'll make this the last question, just conscious of your time. Health and wellness, health and fitness and so forth. How important to you is that, looking after yourself and being the best version of you for your business and everybody else in your life?
Very important. What you do outside of your work and your business directly reflects what's inside your work and your business. So, if you're working on yourself, you're looking after your health, you're looking after your fitness, your mental toughness, people are going to see that straight away, whether you have employees, customers, your focus is going to be completely different. And it's all very important to business success. And if you aren't doing that, then it's something you definitely should consider, because you'll see a transformation in yourself and your business straight away. And it's something that every business owner and entrepreneur should be doing. And before I decided to take my business full time, I said, this is something, if I'm going to face all the challenges and adversity in business, I need to do things so that I can face those challenges. And that's going into mental toughness, just putting yourself through adversity and tough situations to then, when it comes time to face those challenging tasks in business, they're easy, because, well, what I did this morning was harder than that.
Yes.
And that's where, mental toughness and health and fitness will take a massive part in business success and running your business.
Yes, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think one of the reasons I changed from working in big corporations to do what I do now is that I thought it would be way more satisfying to have an impact on people's overall health and their mindset, to make them a more successful human being. So it didn't matter what role they were doing, they could be more successful, as opposed to me working with the organization and finding, more members. I'm a chartered accountant, so finding, like savings or coaching staff to be better and all that kind of stuff. I just found this more satisfying. For me personally, I explain to people my health, wellness, vitality is like my spine. So if I don't get that right, if I'm compromising on any of that, then I'm not the best version of me every day. I'm not the healthiest version of me every day. And then from a business success perspective, I'm not as focused and I'm not as energized. And so with more energy and more focus, you can do more of everything. You can do, everything better. But if my health is compromised and I'm tired and I'm lethargic, then well, I don't have the energy. And if I don't have the energy, I guarantee you will not have the focus. So therefore, guess what? Your outputs aren't as good. So you're not as productive. You're not building the relationships. You're not perhaps closing your deal. You're missing opportunities. You're not hungry. You're all of that kind of stuff. But when you have the reverse of that, then that's when you start to see people thrive. And that's what I love in the work that I do, because I see how people change, and I know what's going to happen for them in advance. They just have never either felt it before or they're not there yet. And I say, do you know what? I got some really great news for you. You are going to do awesome. And just wait. In 4 weeks, these are the results that you're going to get. And then that's going to leapfrog you into the future. So that's why I do what I do. It's so exciting. And I am obsessed with studying successful people. And I've got like pictures all over my wall here of highly successful people. And there's not one successful person that does not say, and I'm talking billionaires to actors, celebrities, all that kind of stuff. They all say how important their health and wellness is in their success, and coaching, as well as the other stuff that we've talked about here too.
Yeah, definitely. And not to mention as well, if you aren't healthy and fit as a business owner and you're dealing with potential clients, how is that reflecting your business? So
That's right.
if you're dealing with a potential supplier, you're most likely going to prefer to deal with someone that looks and feels healthy and fit, because it shows that they take care of themselves, they're going to take care of you. So they can't take care of themselves. What makes you think they're even going to bother with with whatever they're going to help you with?
Like I was saying before about the dirty car.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you know, I know in society these days we don't like to say it, but looks are everything. And if you don't look fit and healthy and you don't look like you look after yourself, that's going to deeply impact your business as well.
Yeah, it takes about 3 seconds, I think, for people to sum you up, and they do judge a book by the cover, either rightly or wrongly.
Yeah.
But if you're scruffy and you're presenting to clients, or you've got bad breath, or the dirty shoes, or your tie's down if you're wearing a tie, or whatever,
Yeah.
then people say, well, I'm not going to deal with you because you had bad breath, or you had a mark on your shirt, or your car was dirty, or something. People are always finding an excuse not to do business with you, and so we've got to give them as little possibility as possible. Lewis, this has been great. I want to give you the last word. What would you say if you could give, say, an aspiring person that wants to start their own business, or they're relatively new to business? What would be, say, your top 1 or 2 tips that you would say to them?
So if you're wanting to start a business, starting a business, as we know, can be pretty daunting. There's always that sort of unknown of, shit, is this going to work? Am I going to fail? But in society these days, we have a lot of people talking and not actually doing, saying, oh, I have these goals. I want to do this and want to do that, and nothing ever eventuates out of it. There's only so many percentage of people that actually take action. So if you are thinking of starting your own business and it's something that you really want to do, then you need to take action. You need to say, make a date. I'm going to start my business on this date, and you need to stick to it. Otherwise, if you can't do that, don't bother even trying to run a business, because you won't stick to anything. You won't persevere with anything if you can't take that first step. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, and I think the way that you've done it is the perfect way to do it. Don't resign from your job and just throw everything into the business and say, let's see how we go.
That's right.
Do it on the side. Do it after hours. Do it on the weekends. Keep your job going so you've got that income coming through, so you're not putting yourself under unnecessary pressure, and just work on it after hours. Even if that means working 3-5 hours a night to get it done, work on the weekends, have some time off, but most of us aren't working hard enough. So do it that way. And then once you get to that stage, if you've replaced your income and you think, well, if I was now doing this full time, and you can do that consistently, then maybe that's the time to step across. But otherwise, don't do it.
Not only that, if you can work after hours with a full-time job, you can run a business. If you can't do that, then that will be a test to see if you can run a business, because the time it's going to take for you to run a successful business with that plus more.
Yeah.
The amount of hard work it will take to get to some sort of success in your business is going to be tenfold that amount of work and that amount of mental clarity.
And it sounds daunting and horrible the way that we're talking about it, but it is the reality. And the reward is like, you've got the flexibility, you've got all the risk, all the rewards. It's very satisfying to achieve those personal goals and the growth, isn't it? As the business, so it can be very satisfying, but it takes years and years. I don't think I started to be really what I would call successful. I was probably 9 or 10 years into business.
Yeah,
I was
for me,
but I wasn't hitting what I would consider success.
For me, compared to some of my peers in the industry, look, we're maybe a little bit ahead, but I'm nowhere near successful as what I want or need to be.
Yeah.
And I guess with us as well, that's going to be a constant issue. We're always trying to chase the next thing.
That's the thing. I don't think you ever get there, because when you get close, you say, "Oh, well, let me move it further ahead," and you get further.
Yeah.
Let's just keep moving ahead. And I think that's what makes you successful, right? Because you're always hungry. You're always looking.
That's
for that
right.
next thing.
It's never enough.
You hit a goal and say, "Fantastic! All right, what's next? Let's keep going."
Yeah. For me, it's like I hit a goal, I celebrate for half an hour. It's like, all right, next thing, let's go.
That's right. That's right. If people want to get in touch with you and learn more about you, I will put the website below when I post this podcast. But give yourself a plug now as to how people.
Yeah. So anything got to do with branding, printing, signage, you can look up 292creative.com.au. Also on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. It's just 292 Creative or 292 Co on LinkedIn. If you want to look up me personally, it's just Luis Garotti, LuisGarotti on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
I'm a little bit active, but some of those videos.
What's that?
Got to get on TikTok doing some of those.
We do have a few videos, but they're nothing like what else is out there. I try and showcase more of the end result.
Yes. Well, that's it. Do the before and afters. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see, the before and afters. Yeah. All right. This has been great. Good to speak with you. Thanks. You've added a bunch of value here for aspiring entrepreneurs and given us a real insight into what happens in day-to-day business. So thanks very much for sharing today.
My pleasure. Thank you.